This is FPS. Welcome back. I was putting together a video on the Great White Throne Judgment. And when I got to the four living creatures, I wanted to find their names. The four living creatures are named in Enoch. One of them is Michael, the other is Gabriel, the other is Raphael, the other is Uriel. This was found with a bunch of other names. And what struck my eye here were these symbols in the middle. That guy there. Because then I found this. Now, this relates to a video from Richie from Boston I saw this week where he had a viewer send in many sheets of things that looked just like this. And they were angel sigils or witchcraft sigils. And he made the point that it looked a lot like something that you would find in an electronics diagram. Anyone who works with electronics may have recognized something that looks like this. And he was making the point, Richie from Boston, that we might be dealing with, in terms of the Nephilim and the angels and everybody else, something a little more literal when Jesus says, "Behold, I saw Lucifer fall like a lightning bolt from heaven." And here we see one for Uriel. And again, it has all those telltale markers that look like a sigil. And here we have a tattoo, and it was labeled something about angel sigil. But the other thing that I want to throw out there, while I was going through, I've read the names in the book of Enoch a long time ago. And this sort of thing, where they throw in extra names, is really commonplace, especially when they're throwing... I don't believe that these sigils have anything to do with God's servants. Neither do I think these names do. But this, and this, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, yeah. In Enoch, they named their roles and what they do, and it's all very fitting and surprising. And the reason why you never hear of Uriel is because he's the one that's in charge of salvation and faith. So don't be thrown off. And to further support that, I first found this, and these are amulets that are engraved with these sigils, which clearly are what they purport to be, some sort of sigil for witchcraft. And then they had the names that was added on by somebody else later. So we don't know that that connects at all. But in terms of reading these also, these are all not, none of these are in Enoch or anything. It's probably just made up. But the big connector here is that I was searching for the circuit of the sun, because the circuit of the sun was triggered in my mind while reading a psalm today, and the sun is described as having a circuit. And when you do witchcraft, not that I do it, but as far as I understand, you draw a circle. I'm getting this off of biblicalscholarship.net when I searched the sun's circuit, and of course I got something like this. But at the bottom, I saw the geocentricity papers, which is of course flat Earth. So I went through them. They're pretty solid, good reading, lots of good information, lots of solid biblical stuff. But I was kind of going more for this sun circuit thing, and came across this, which he threw in there on the planetary circuits from Tycho Brahe and some other names. Now, what Richie from Boston pointed out was that when they do witchcraft, they make a circle and they call it a circuit. And when the witches are walking around, they'll say, "Ooh, the electricity's high tonight." And I think they even call, mediums like conduits. And so now we're kind of unifying this whole planetary circuit with a witchcraft circle, more or less, where they throw these sigils in there and false names. And, this is where they get the witchcraft from. And you don't want to have these kind of things on you. But, the antidote to witchcraft is awareness. So this is help. So what they'll do is draw a double circle here and then begin to do whatever they do. The reason that this now becomes applicable is that this is a Venn diagram sort of thing. What I want you to do is sort of think about another circle, and it makes a little bit there. And that's what we see at the center of the Washington Monument, and they put an obelisk there for like a mini penis. And then that is like the owl eyes and the sign of the devil. Now, this circle then is not... What I want you to think about instead is this is how you would understand powers and dominions and principalities. And begin to, with this first circle here, this becomes the all-encompassing circle. So that anything that's within this was born from within this circle, therefore this circle owns it and houses it or protects it, or whatever is in this circle is beneath, understands this circle here. And then here we go. Every other circle then delineates a power. And so you could do this with the triune God and the devil and all four of the angels and all 600 angels and man and on creation. And this would be obviously a very complicated one. But to give the idea, I would think of this more like pyramidal or hierarchical in that these might be mounds and high peaks. And so inside this large encompassing thing, you get another large encompassing thing, and then another large encompassing thing. And then here you got a branch one that comes in like this, and this is like a maybe hill with a peak, and then another hill with a peak, so like two peaks. And you can see how this would create like a dominion, especially if this was higher, and all of these things rounding about. Because remember, New Jerusalem is going to come down on a mountain, and the closeness of God is going to be the hierarchy of the kingdom. And as you go further and further away from his light, you go towards darkness and weeping and the gnashing of teeth. And so these are hierarchical Venn diagrams of powers and how we would understand the all-encompassingness of God and his word and Jesus Christ. And that's why these things have their power that they do, is they are delineating powers, and that is what all the witchcraft and sigils are, is they're using the power of our voice and using it in an abominable way to bring down darkness for weaker powers, lesser powers, just because they don't want the holy, virtuous powers. And they think that if they all get together in big enough number that they'll overcome God. And they won't. And they never have. And they should just give it up. But the circuit of the sun's circuit now implies that the sun is electrical, given that that is the nature of his description given in the Bible. And now we see maybe that the powers in this house, this dome, it's vastly different. It's vastly different. Then you start thinking about all the electricity that goes into your eyeballs and that you deal with on a constant basis. And why do they want these screens in front of our eyeballs so desperately? Oh, and one last thing on the sigils. I couldn't get a good example of the actual Baphomet symbol because it's a little bit hidden and I don't want to dig around. But it looks just like this, and we have these all over our houses. It has lines that will go up and then across, and maybe like a pyramid or something. But it looks like a ham radio antenna, something like that. And we have these all in our houses. And so they're constantly getting us to just symbolically watch ourselves and all their powers and all their craft and all their enchantments. And truth be told, they can't touch the children of the living God. Their witchcraft doesn't work on us. Especially doesn't work on anyone who's aware of it. And isn't willfully falling into their own temptation. Witchcraft preys on the weaknesses of men. Yet it is quite powerful because, well, hey, we're all weak. That's it. The next video is going to be about the Great White Throne Judgment. I'm going to write a timeline on that. Amen. Maranatha.